Hey everyone, and welcome to Prosperous AF. I'm Amber.
And I'm Francine, and we're here to talk about something close to our hearts: building a successful business as a minority business owner.
It's not always easy. Let's just be honest. There are challenges, setbacks, and moments where you question everything.
But it's also incredibly rewarding, and that's what Prosperous AF is all about. We are here to share the real deal, the unfiltered truth about entrepreneurship, with healthy doses of humor to keep things light.
This series is your intro into the entrepreneurial world, and in our third episode, Fear? Nah. Turning nervous energy into entrepreneurial superpower, we are helping you overcome fear in your journey.
We'll be sharing our own stories, the wins, the losses, and the lessons we've learned along the way. So if you're ready to take the leap or even just thinking about it, time to tune in, because Prosperous AF starts now.
I'm going to share a relatable story about how I have faced significant fear related to entrepreneurship. I still have fear around this. It is hard for me to put myself out on social media, and I think that could be something that a lot of people might be scared to do, because you're putting yourself out there and you're just like, what are people gonna think? And are people gonna think this is dumb? And are they gonna laugh at me? And so I think that that's probably one of the things that has kept me back from talking about what I offer to people. Because in my brain, I'm like, I know I can offer something really great to somebody, but then when I actually have to like talk about it, and especially on social media, I start to clam up and I'm like, nope, this is not easy. So I'm still going through that, it still has not left my body. This fear has not left my body yet. But the more that I do it, the easier it becomes. In fact, I texted you the other day. I was like, I only hesitated twice to press post. Versus like, sometimes I would just be like, no. I'm not even going to post it. So I delete it. But now pressing post has been easier. So as I do it, as I keep doing it, it becomes easier.
For me, I would say one of my biggest fears with entrepreneurship is scaling. As we know, I have the trucking business, and I've been able to keep it at a certain size that's manageable for me, because it's like, if I scale, if I go out and get more contractors, more drivers, does that mean more work? Does it mean more complexities? And there's already complexities in what I do, but it's like, am I ready for that? Can I handle that? Is it going to make my business fail because I wanted to scale too quickly, or I took on too much at one time? So that's been something I've been wanting to overcome, because when my husband and I initially started Kone Distributions, we wanted it to be a big thing. We wanted it to be huge, so that he wouldn't have to drive and we would just be managing drivers. But I think I have been in such fear of wow, this is already a heavily regulated business. One mess up on my end can send the whole thing spiraling down. So for me, that's been a big fear of mine. But as I'm scaling in a way that feels comfortable to me, I also have to get out of my head to be like, yo, you started it, you've managed it for all these years, so now it's time to grow it. And as you grow it, you'll be able to take yourself out of the day-to-day and be able to bring people on that would be able to assist you. So just getting out of my head with the scaling, and also bringing people in that you trust, because I feel like for a lot of entrepreneurs, that's something that kind of inhibits us wanting to grow, right? It's like, yeah, I would have the option of bringing someone in, but are they going to care for it like I do?
Yeah.
So those have been fears that have really been on my mind heavy as of lately, that I feel are significant.
Yeah, I agree. It's and from what I'm gathering, it's almost fear of failure.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you feel like you have something that you're carrying heavy, and you're like, if I drop this ball, it's not going to look pretty.
The whole thing comes crashing
people
down.
are relying on you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's a fear you think most entrepreneurs struggle with?
Yeah, so again, fear of failure. I think that messing up, or like I made a mistake, is something that people probably, that's what holds them back a lot. Because number one, people are relying on them. Number two, sometimes it could cost money. Number three, people, like if you have employees, people are relying on you to be paid. So I think that fear of failure is a big one that you just have to change your mindset about that and say, it's not failure, I'm just learning. But I know that what I struggle with a lot is that imposter syndrome. Is that I know these things. I don't always, and I think I mentioned this to you before, where there's just some things that I can't keep in my brain, right? But I want to be there to be like, oh, I know this on a whim. But I have learned that I don't have to know everything all at once, and I can say, you know what, let me just research that for you, and I'll get back to you. So I think that has been a fear of mine, of not knowing everything all at once, or I do know it, but for some reason I think that somebody else is smarter than me, something like that. It's kind of a weird fear. That I have surrounding imposter syndrome. So
it's plausible, because when you've worked or been in a certain field or industry for such a long time, people think that years means that you're the hub of information, right? But things, especially in our two fields that we have been in predominantly throughout our careers, things change quite frequently.
Yeah.
So there is no way to know everything all the time.
Yeah.
Because it changes consistently over time. So especially with rules, regulations, laws, those things.
Yeah.
People sometimes do expect you to pull that out of a hat. They ask you these questions and it's like, boom, just give me the answer right here. And it's like, no, let me check.
Yeah.
So I know that the information I'm giving you is, 1, correct, 2, consistent, and 3, current in the time that we're in right now. Because even if you somehow miraculously make yourself this big, port, USB port of megabytes and all those things, you still want to make sure that those things or that information is current, that you're providing to someone. So definitely a fear, but not manageable.
Yeah, I actually learned how to try to get over that fear after I worked for a large tax prep company, and the person who was training us so that we could become new tax prep employees, she had been doing this for 20 years, and one of the first things she said, she's like, I don't know all the answers to everything. I know a little bit about a lot. So because things change all the time. Tax law changes all the time, even within the tax season. So she says, I don't try to keep these things in my brain. And I was like that was a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't have to keep all of this stuff, in an instant, answer. If somebody comes up to me and says, hey, what's tax deductible? And I'm going to be like, well, it depends,
So, and we were just talking about that with meals and travel and all those things. Yeah, it changes.
It changes a lot. Have you ever felt stuck because you were afraid of failing? And how did you handle it?
I think it is key and instrumental to change your mindset around what you're feeling. And I know you touched on that a little bit earlier. And seeing a lot of the feedback that's provided to you as a adjustment period and not an endpoint. Every entrepreneur has failed at some point, and your ability to bounce back from that failure is key and instrumental in what you'll do down the line.
Yes.
Because I feel like we have all in our journey been at a point where it's like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And I just don't see the point anymore. It's stupid. You really be down on yourself because we have that unrealistic expectation of like, once we launch this, it has to be successful.
Yeah.
It has to be perfect.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
Because you won't know until you try. And when you try is when you have the necessary tools and information has been gathered, so then you can do the adjustments that need to be done and relaunch.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had to do it. But I think getting out of your head and just seeing if something isn't working, being able to go back to the drawing board instead of using that failure as a way out of something that could work really well for you in the future as you continue to just tweak it a little bit, provide, with the feedback and what you see that isn't working, and not necessarily feedback from other people, but just feedback from yourself. Because you have the behind the scenes knowledge and you're able to see like, okay, I tried this and this isn't working. Let me adjust this part of it that other people may not see. They'll be front facing, but you're in facing, looking at your business and identifying, I can be better here and I can use this tool instead of this tool. It'll help me in this area. Yeah. So having that positive mindset to be like, even though this didn't work now, doesn't mean that with adjustment it won't work for me then.
Yeah, a word that was coming to mind was pivoting too. So you can make small adjustments, and then there's times when you can pivot as well. So don't be afraid. And I think that is one characteristic of an entrepreneur, is the ability to be resilient and to pivot in order to keep going.
Absolutely, agreed. Now with you, have you ever heard of a growth mindset, and what does that mean to you?
So, and I think I just touched on that with having the resilience, and you were talking about keep going, and making tweaks. You get feedback, you make a tweak. If you're successful, do more of that, right? So, the way that you speak to yourself in your own head is instrumental. And I love me some affirmations because sometimes there can be some negative self-talk, and that's just going to bring you down instantly. So when you have this negative self-talk in your head, well, then that's going to stop you in your tracks right there. So instead of saying I'm bad at this, you just say I'm just not good at it yet. Yet is the key word. And knowing that you're going to get better the more you do it. So like I said with my social media posting, the more I do it, the better I get at it.
The more you feel comfortable.
The more I feel, you
open up your brain to new ideas and avenues that you want to take and go with it, and then you press post a lot more. Which is great.
How do you personally turn nervousness into motivation?
For me, I would say I embrace it. I embrace my nervous energy, and I know we've spoken on this of just having a mindset of I don't feel nervous. I feel excited. Because nervousness and excitement, that feeling that you get, is quite similar. So just changing your approach and viewing that feeling that you're getting as something positive can help you step into something a lot more confidently. The feeling gets your heart racing, it gets your adrenaline pumping, all the tools necessary to be confident and to walk into something with with confidence at the forefront, which can then in tune make you more successful in whatever it is that you're trying to convey or start or whatever the case may be. But for me, I would use the example of like when I'm talking in front of people, I definitely do some self-pumping in my head. Like, yo, you're ready for this. Like, you're ready to go out there and put your thoughts in the forefront of, what we're discussing or in front of people. And they want to hear what you have to say. It's something that I really internalize within myself, especially before doing something like that. Because as well as a public speaker I may be, I myself too get nervous when that time comes. Like, oh my God, everyone's going to be looking at me. Like, how do I look? Like, am I going to stutter? Like, are the words that are coming out of my mouth, are they going to make sense? But those are all negativity.
Yeah.
And like you just spoke on, going into something with that negative mindset, the outcome will most likely be negative. Versus going into something with that positive mindset of like, this isn't me being nervous, this is just me being excited.
Yeah.
The outcome will most likely be positive and in your favor.
Yeah. And I do think that they say that the same type of hormones or things that are like running through your body when you're nervous is the same as when you're excited. So you just have to tell yourself, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. And, you know, it's the same thing. Like when I stand up and speak in front of other people, my mind goes blank. I'm like, I can't even think of words, you know? So I know I'll probably have to start speaking in front of people more often now. And it is one of those things I'm committed to being better at. And I'll be definitely saying my affirmations and saying, I'm not nervous, I'm excited about this. So yeah, this is something you can put into practice.
I think when you do it more, especially speaking, your brain then goes on autopilot.
Yeah.
Not factoring in what you're feeling. It just pours out of you.
Yeah.
Automatically, because it's like, okay, I'm comfortable in this space, especially if you're conveying the same information. It just runs on autopilot. And sometimes I even blank out on what I say. And everybody be like, oh, that was so good. And it's like, I don't even know what I said just because it's just coming out on you know, autopilot mode. So I guess that's another aspect.
I think that's actually something that you can say to yourself, I'm comfortable in this environment. Like you can just, you know, kind of be like, tell yourself, this is comfort for me. And then you're just you're gonna feel at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like preparation helps with fear, or can it sometimes add to it?
Yes, preparation can help with fear because there is, I know for me, sometimes when I shouldn't say sometimes, when I'm not prepared, I definitely feel fear. I'm like, I feel very chaotic and very out of sorts, and my brain is just going all different kinds of ways. So I have to organize myself. But if I go to the other end and I over prepare and I'm just ruminating over like just the smallest details, it can hold me back, you know, and I find myself over researching, doubting myself. And so, you know, I just, I have to trust myself that as I go along, you know, so I prepare myself a little bit, you know, make sure that I'm, you know, I have my checklist of things. I love me some checklists.
We know.
So I have things written down and things in place. But I do have to say, you know what, it's good enough, and then we'll figure it out as we go along.
And I think preparation sometimes can make you, or over prepping can make you more robotic.
Yes.
Versus interactive, especially
Showing
with
your
the
personality.
audience. Exactly.
Yeah.
That you're trying
That's a
to
good point.
engage.
Yeah.
So absolutely have your talking points and, you know, have the gist of the information that you want to convey, but also keeping that personality that comes through and shines when you're relaying information, right? Because sometimes people don't care about what you're saying.
Yeah.
They just care about the way in which you delivered it.
Yes.
Which then connects them to what you're saying.
Good point.
And helps you and helps them retain what you're talking about much easier. So over preparation for me can also really seem robotic. And for me, I like my passion to convey and the information that I'm sending out and just have that connection, like literally feels that you can feel as you're talking to people. The energy, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that resonates with people a lot more than just
Yes. Yes, you're right. You're right. I love that. If someone listening feels paralyzed by fear, what's one thing they can do today to start moving forward?
Be actionable, right? You won't know the fruits of your labor or the results of what you're putting out into the universe until you take action. We talked about creating an email for your research so you can have all this information in one place and easily accessible. It's not getting lost in your personal email. Doesn't have to be a branded email, just a regular Gmail account. call someone, research your market, research what your competition looks like, write the plan about this is what I'm thinking, put it out on paper. I'm a big paper person. Like when I get thoughts, I like to physically write them down. The labor of writing. Take that action. Whatever actionable you're thinking of, do it. There is no right or wrong way to start this journey or to overcome the fears associated with it, but just making sure that you can say, I tried, versus I never tried. Because that I try can turn into success after success after success, a little bit or a sprinkle of adjustment and pivoting, and then success and success. But you will never know until you try. And we hear a lot of these sayings when we're younger, and we really don't know how to implement them into our situations of life. But as you get older, what grandma used to tell me starts clicking a lot more. You know how I am with grandma. Her sayings. Grandma is a very wise 90-year-old woman who till these days still gives me parables that I can really reflect on and apply in my own life. But that you never know until you try is big here. It's key. Try something, and then you have the information and you have that knowledge to be like, this is going to work or it's not going to work or whatever, but you won't know until you actually take that actionable step. And one action can lead into you hitting your motivation and being like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. It kind of worked out. I like where this is going. And then it leads into a next action and a next action. And then before you know it, you're up and running on something that you just took that initial step for, which is key and instrumental. Take the step. Take the action to overcome that fear. 1, 2, 3, go.
The 5-second rule by Mel Robbins.
5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go.
Rocket ship, right? So, and the more that you know, we always talk about this, the more action you take, the more you're just like, oh, that wasn't so bad. That happens to me all the time. Is that I'll just work it up in my head and then I'll just do it. And I'm like, why was I thinking? Like, you know, why was I waiting for so long to do this?
Exactly. And you leave yourself with 5, 10, 15, 20 reasons why you shouldn't. Because the brain works that way, right? It always gives you a reason why you shouldn't do something. And I think this ties into how we're conditioned, right? Usually when you have that initial thought, we're taught to think about it first. And then that's wonderful for a lot of aspects of your life. But you have to break that thought when it comes to the positive to thinking things that you want to do in life, so that you can actually just jump forward on that impulsion and take that step. Impulsion necessarily isn't a bad thing. It's just understanding where and when to apply it.
Right.
And I feel like in this case, in entrepreneurship, it is the place to apply it, because if you don't use or unlock that impulsion factor, you will be sitting and finding 100,000 ways to discourage yourself from doing something that could possibly end up very fruitful for you.
And let's be honest, not a lot of people actually take action. So you know, and people have told me this, that they have found inspiration in what I'm doing. And even though I'm like, oh, it's not that much, you know, I downplay it, but I guarantee you are inspiring somebody else who has the same fear as you. And they're looking up to you to show them that it's okay to do this. So I have found solace in that, is that some, you know, being able to be out there, putting myself out there, because I know, as we all know, we all have these fears. So even some of the biggest speakers, you know, have said that they still get on stage and, you know, like, it's still kind of like a little pit in their stomach. But since they've been doing it for so long, it becomes automatic. And they probably have the tools that they've developed over time. So, but not just with speaking, it's, you know, it's with anything. So,
so what would you, in conclusion, what is it that you want to tell our lovely viewers who've been rocking with us now for 2 full episodes. We appreciate you all.
We do. We appreciate your time watching us and discussing all of these things, which are very important. And so we appreciate your time and attention. But I did promise that I was going to read something out of this book. I haven't read this book entirely yet, and I really want to get to, because there's so many good books out there that I want to read. But this says, fear is here to help you and to uncover your greatest wish. So I really love that, because again, we were talking about channeling our nervous energy into an entrepreneurial superpower. So we really have to channel that energy, that nervous energy, do some affirmations, change our mindsets to say, it's okay to feel this way, but what I want is on the other side. And I will have many more blessings and opportunities on the other side of this, what feels like a huge obstacle. But you won't get that until you actually start going through that, So, so whatever is in your mind, if you are thinking about doing something entrepreneurial wise, just take those small actions, and you'll get there. You'll get there one day and uncover your greatest wish. One other book that I haven't fully read this book yet, but I have read pieces of it, but it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. Because that feeling is not going away.
At all.
It's not going to go away. Like,
Never.
it's never going to go away. So you will always feel it. It's just channeling that energy to a place where it becomes your superpower.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this concludes this episode. We're so thankful for you all tuning in, and for any new viewers that we have acquired. Welcome.
Yes.
To the series. We're super excited for what we've been doing and just what we've been bringing you guys. We would love to hear back from you all. Feedback, comments, send us a message on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
And share the episodes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, share it.
Tell your friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Our social medias will be linked below. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that you know when we post things and have new episodes come out. But we really appreciate you all. We appreciate the comments and the feedbacks that have been provided to us, because that helps streamline what we're doing. Thank you to everyone who loves and supports what we're doing at this point by sharing our own journey. Yes. We appreciate you immensely. Mwah, mwah, mwah. But until next time, Prosperous AF crew, once again, we're coming to you real and raw in our own entrepreneurial journey. We cannot wait to see you guys next week.
Which is our next episode.
Correct.
Is called From Side Hustle to Main Stage. Your first steps to entrepreneurial freedom. We're going to talk about side hustles.
Oh,
and yeah.
I'm excited. I got a few. I got a few side hustles on the side, because Grandma always told me you have to have a little bit of mad money. But once again, we really appreciate you all tuning in every single week. We have more in store for you. You guys have no idea. By the time this video comes out, we would have attended our second B3 networking event. We are now members of the B3 movement, because it's not a group, it's a movement. Shout out to LeBrant. Thank you for all you've been doing for us thus far. Yes. Your mentorship, your leadership, we appreciate. It's immense. To all our B3 members, what up?
Shout out.
But until next time, lovely folks, we'll make sure and include some clips from that event, and we'll also include the link so you can check out the B3 network. But for now,